What's going on? It's just me today. I know I've been rogue for a while. I had a crazy work schedule that absolutely just took me out. It took me out of recording anything, doing anything with the guys. So shouts out to them for holding it down here at the X Factor. But as always, we got the daily show. They've done a beautiful job. Caleb's idea. This thing has turned into something that we all enjoy doing. Happy Sunday. We're going to get into yesterday's action first with the Brooklyn Nets going on the road and defeating the Los Angeles Clippers 110-95. The Nets, their story this year has been incredible. They just continue to fight, continue to scrape, continue to claw. They look like a completely different team without Kyrie. So watching that whole thing happen whenever Kyrie gets back, how do they integrate him? But I think there's more to this, and I'll get into that in just a second. Let's break into some of the numbers. Nicholas Claxton, 13 points, 14 rebounds. Royce O'Neal, poor shooting night, but he ended up with 12 and 5, so not terrible there. Edmund Sumner continues to just be an absolute guy for them, averaging 7.5 points on the year, but had 11 and 4 today. Yesterday. Seth Curry with 22, 3 and 3. So, a lot of the problems that we talked about with the Nets were the other guys stepping up, and it looks like the other guys are starting, to find their niche, find their role around Kevin Durant. And for the Clippers, looking at it, Zubac continues just to have a very sneaky good year, 16 points, 15 rebounds. Other than that, nothing really to write home about. John Wall had 14 and 6 off the bench. Paul George shot 5 of 21. Brooklyn's defense, man, Jacque Vaughn, the way he has these guys bought in despite their terrible start to the year. They're almost 500. They're 6 and 7. It seemed like a year that they were going to want to forget, and they're turning it into maybe a year where the Nets can be what we all thought they were going to be, potential top 4 seed in the East. Moving on, the Washington Wizards defeated the great team, the Utah Jazz, the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, Utah Jazz, 121-112. For the Wizards, looking at it, I mean, Kyle Kuzma continues to play well, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. And then Kristaps Porzingis played incredible, 31 points, 10 rebounds. I think that is really the problem with this Jazz team. If you have a good big man that could space the floor as well as score on the inside, Kelly Olynyk and Lauri Markkanen, they've had a good year, but defensively, they have their issues. But looking at the Jazz, nothing really stands out. Talen Horton-Tucker had 12 and 10 off the bench. Colin Sexton had 17. Colin Sexton, I mean, the young bull is looking like a bull when he gets out there. He's like the Energizer bunny off the bench. He attacks the rim. He gets to the free throw line. Only 4 free throw attempts against the Wizards, which might be why they struggled. But yeah, Lauri Markkanen, 17 points, 5 rebounds. Laurie Bird continues to impress. The Jazz team, I mean, this is kind of what you can expect from them. But the Washington Wizards, they continue to kind of turn around another team that continues just to kind of turn around their season. You think, early on, you're kind of like, this team's not very good. But now, you look at them, 7 and 6. Got a chance today to go 8 and 6 against the Grizzlies. Just a team to keep an eye on. When Bradley Beal gets back rolling, if he gets healthy and starts to look like Bradley Beal, maybe this team can be something. So next, we had the Boston Celtics against the Detroit Pistons. The Celtics won 117-108. No Jaylen Brown for them, but Jason Tatum. I mean, Caleb called it at the beginning of the year. It was one of his MVP picks. It was either him or Fred. Can't remember which one. I think it was Caleb. He had 43 and 10 on 50% shooting, 7 of 15 from downtown, 8 of 10 from the line. So he's getting to the foul line. He's shooting the ball efficiently. I mean, I know Fred said once that a couple times that Jaylen Brown was a better player. No, sir. Jason Tatum, unbelievable. He's going to lead this Celtics team. How far? I don't know yet. But by God, they're really, really good. Marcus Smart, 18 points, 10 assists. Grant Williams had 19 and 10. And their bench is kind of, iffy. But nonetheless, Malcolm Brogdon was out. Jaylen Brown was out. And they still find a way to almost beat the Pistons by 10. Now, for the Pistons, there was no Cade. So Killian Hayes actually played pretty well, which was kind of a surprise. He hasn't looked very good, to put it nicely. But Bogdan Bogdanovic continues to just play great basketball, 28 and 6. Other than that, nothing really to write home about for the Pistons. They fall to 3 and 11. Bad start to the year for the Pistons. Moving on to the Indiana Pacers defeating the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors sitting at 500 now, 7-7. So are the Pacers. They're 6-6. This Pacer team, man, they're just sneaky good. They're fun to watch. Tyrese Halliburton had 8 points, 6 rebounds, 15 assists. Not his night from the floor, but that doesn't matter. He finds different ways to impact the game and just continues to impress there. And then, of course, Miles Turner had 19 and 10. His trade value should continue just to move up and up. Bennedict Mathurin, we've sung his praises. It feels like every daily show, every time we do a podcast about rookies, the Rookie Report, Bennedict Mathurin, man, he is the real deal. 15 points, 8 rebounds off the bench. I mean, it's just a fun team out there in Indiana. Hopefully, I mean, they're going to blow it up eventually, I would assume, in terms of Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, maybe even TJ McConnell. Some of those guys I think are going to be out the door, but they're a fun team for now. For the Raptors, they couldn't overcome a Scotty Barnes terrible night shooting, 4 of 16. He did finish with 8 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. OG Anunoby, a guy I believe nobody is talking about, averaging 17 points, 6 rebounds. He's had a great year, and then yesterday had 26 points. So he's looking good there. But outside of that, nothing really going for the Raptors, and they fall to the Pacers. The Atlanta Hawks went on the road to play the 76ers, and the 76ers came out on top 121-109. For Philadelphia, Joel Embiid finally looked like the MVP candidate. He got to the line 16 times. The whistle is very friendly for Embiid. He finished with 42, 10, and 6. Pretty efficient from the floor, not from the three-point line. He shot 6 times, only converted once. But Tyrese Maxey, he's just a dude. 26 points, 9 assists, 10 of 18 from the floor. He's so good. He's just so good. He takes them to a whole different level. If they could find a trade partner for James Harden, I know, their executive, Daryl Morey, I think. He loves James Harden, big buddies with him. But this team with Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, who also had 21 to 6, this team could be really, really special if they got just a little bit deeper. They don't even need like a star. Just some guys like a Buddy Hield and a Miles Turner to come off the bench. Like, are you kidding me? Or Miles Turner to play the 4. It's just an idea for them. And then to Atlanta, I mean, Trae Young, 27 and 11. DeJounte Murray had 23, 8 and 7. They did what they do. They were down really, really big, so they scraped and clawed back into the game to even make it look respectable. But they were down almost 30 points. It really wasn't as close as the scoreboard indicates. They really didn't have a chance in this game. Looking on to the Miami Heat, destroying and ruining LaMelo Ball's return to the floor. LaMelo shot terrible, 6 of 17 from the floor, 1 of 9 from downtown. He didn't finish with 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. Other than that, Nick Richards continues to play pretty well, had 15 points and 5 rebounds. But looking at the Miami Heat, I mean, Jimmy Butler, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. Bam Adebayo with 24 and 15. He continues to look great. And then Max Strus with 31 points. The Charlotte Hornets can't guard me, can't guard a soul. So the Miami Heat, who have not been great offensively, absolutely dominate the game on that side of the floor. And the New Orleans Pelicans defeated one of the worst teams in the NBA, the Houston Rockets, by 13. For the Pelicans, I mean, Zion Williamson, 26 points, 6 assists. Listen to this, 8 of 9 from the floor. And he had 26 points. Now, he went to the free throw line 12 times, but he converted 10 of them. I think that's a huge, huge bright spot for them. If he's getting to the line and converting, this team could go to a whole nother level. Brandon Ingram didn't play very well, but he still finished with 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. CJ McCollum also shot terrible, but they were able to find a way to win. Big shouts out to Larry Nance Jr. off the bench. 22 points and 9 rebounds. Nothing really to talk about with the Rockets. They're terrible to watch. They're not fun, but Jalen Green did have 33 points and 6 assists. So shouts out to him and Kevin Porter Jr., 23 points. Both were pretty efficient. Typically, they're not super efficient, so that's good to see there. And then the Mavericks. If you are a gambler and you had the Mavericks minus 5.5, I apologize. The way Portland covered was unbelievable. I personally did not have action on this game, but my God, if you did, I apologize. It was a terrible beat for any gambler out there. Damian Lillard shot like a half-court shot. Blazers got the rebound, kicked it out with time expiring. They chuck up a 3, and it goes in. and they get the cover. But I think the story is the Blazers. They just keep finding ways to be in these games. I mean, Jeremy Grant had 37, Damian Lillard had 29, and Anthony Simons had 24 and 7. I mean, this team might be good. They're 9-4 on the year. They continue to play in these high-level games and continue to be right there in almost every game they've played. So big shouts out to them. Now, their bench, huge question mark. They only scored about, 13 points off the bench. That's not going to get it done. But for the Mavericks, Luka Magic. 42 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 dimes. That dude's unbelievable. The Mavericks moved to 7-5. They got some production off their bench. Of course, Christian Wood and Tim Hardaway Jr. That's one of the best duos off the bench you can have. But yeah, that concludes Saturday's action. So looking ahead to today, one game is already tipped, but no points have been scored. So it's the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the New York Knicks. I have the Knicks coming out on top here. I've been loving watching the Thunder play. They play extremely hard. If you have a lead going into the fourth quarter, you better play your game. Caleb shouted me out. I texted in the group chat. I said, dude, these guys in the fourth quarter, they just take it to a whole nother level. They just try to flip the game on its head. Last year, as a Laker fan, we were playing them, and we had 2 times where we were up 20-plus points going into the third and fourth quarter, and they flipped the game on its head and ended up winning the game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is unbelievable, but I do have the Knicks coming on top there. The Minnesota Timberwolves go on the road to play the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm all the way out on the Timberwolves. I think they're a terrible basketball team. I think their record is way better than what it should be. They're 5-8. I think they're worse than that record indicates. I think they're one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. I'm all in on the Cleveland Cavaliers to win that one. At 6 o'clock, we have the Memphis Grizzlies going on the road to play the Wizards, and I think the Wizards get the job done here today. A lot of question marks on the Grizzlies injury report, so I'm not all the way in on who's going to be playing, who's in, who's out, but I do have the Wizards coming on top there. At 7:30, the Jazz play against the Philadelphia 76ers. I got the Utah Jazz coming out on top. The back-to-back for the 76ers. They'll probably give Joel Embiid a day off. The Jazz play really, really hard. They would beat and bang on him. If Embiid plays, I think he has a huge game. Back-to-back huge games. But I don't think he will. I don't even know if he's on the injury report. Just with it being a back-to-back, yeah, he's a game-time decision. I don't see how they get the job done there. And then at 8 o'clock, the Denver Nuggets play against the Chicago Bulls. This game is weird because I love the Bulls. I love them coming into the year, but they have some huge question marks. I'm going with the Nuggets. I don't think they can guard Jokic. I think Jokic, he hasn't played spectacular basketball that we come to just assume that's going to be played by Nikola Jokic. So I think he has a huge game today. I think he dominates the game against the Bulls. Tonight, one of the night gaps at 9 o'clock, game I'll be closely watching. The Warriors go on the road to play the Sacramento Kings. I love the Kings, the way they've been able to turn the games around or turn their season around early on. It looked kind of dim. We had the podcast where are we going to give up on this team? And me and Caleb were both like, no, do not give up on this team. They're really, really good. De'Aaron Fox put so much pressure on that on the defense. Domantas Sabonis is finally starting to play aggressive basketball. And if he plays aggressive basketball, it takes the team to a whole nother level. They're going to be just fine. And they're going to win tonight. The underdogs get the job done at home against the Warriors. A game I am not excited to watch, but I will watch it. Unfortunately, my fandom does not let me not watch it. The Brooklyn Nets go on the road to play the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm going to have a video coming out soon. I don't know if Fred or Caleb will be joining me, but I'm going to have a video coming out really, really soon, just diving into the Lakers team. And just my frustration as a fan. I'm going to vent it all out. Today's not that day. Brooklyn Nets win, coast to this one. They play too hard. They play focused. They got Kevin Durant. They're going to dominate. Kevin Durant might put up 50. Period, point blank. LeBron's probably not going to play. They're only 4.5-point favorites. Don't know how. I think they should be probably 10-point favorites. The Lakers they play good for a half, and then they look terrible. Russ has looked better, but then he has some bonehead decisions that brought the Kings right back into the game in the last game. We'll talk more about it later, though. I'm not going to get into it right now. But we appreciate you guys so much for joining me on the Daily Show. Sorry again for going rogue for a while, but I'm back. Thank you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Tell a friend or two about this. Let's get this thing rolling. As always, we love you guys, and peace out.